Okay, for some reason that will chalk up to the will of the collected universe, all the casting for all the superhero movies in the history of ever occurred in the past 2 weeks. So let's put on our super metal looking 1920s diving suit and jump right in. The performance art that is the Superman vs. Batman casting continues with a totally shocking casting of Jeremy Irons as Alfred. This is shocking because it actually makes sense and I can totally see it working, unlike every other piece of wacko cuckoo pants casting that has occurred before it. I wasn't as hard on the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman as everyone else was. Come on, he's fine. He's talented. He made things like Reindeer Games and Geely, sure, but he also made Good Will Hunting and The Town and Argo, all great films. Think of it this way. No one will ever disagree with the fact that Bruce Willis and Clint Eastwood are the most perfect examples of the human race that ever existed. Yet they still made Hudson Hawk and whatever that stupid one was with Clint was best friends with a monkey. Back to the point I was making. They cast Mark Zuckerberg as Lex Luthor, and while again I don't think this is as awful as everyone else does, it does confuse me and I feel like it's a huge swing and a miss. I respect Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, and recent Photoshop pictures of him with a bald head kind of give me hope that he could pull off the aesthetic, but there's two things that really concern me with his casting. First one is Zack Snyder. I have endless amounts of respect for what Zack Snyder can do visually on screen. 300 looked pretty as hell, and Man of Steel had all the action I ever wanted out of a Superman movie, but he has two massive faults as an artist that keep me several miles away from his bandwagon. He is not a very good storyteller. Man of Steel showed this by having Superman not only murder the dude from Shotgun Stories, but also let his dad die for a dog. And you also will see Superman assume a Christ pose. Subtle! Also, sucker punch. Snyder is also not known as getting the great performances from his actors, except for Jackie Lee Haley as Rorschach. Oh, we love you, Jackie Lee. The entire cast of Sucker Punch gave performances analogous to department store mannequins full of dopamine. And while I did like Man of Steel, the Clark and Lois romance had the chemistry of two stick figures holding hands, and it sounded like Kevin Costner was reading from a teleprompter for the entirety of, well, his career. Other than Zack Snyder, the other thing that concerns me about Senor Eisenberg's casting is Eisenberg. Like I said, I love him as an actor, and I could see me being totally wrong about this. Eisenberg could surprise us all and overcome Snyder and give a Ledger-level performance, but I don't know. The image of a 5'6" squeaky-voiced Lex Luthor trying to go eye to eye with Superman only to stare at his belt buckle before getting some phone books to stand on kind of worries me. They can do some tricks on how they shoot it, and Eisenberg can hit the gym, but this will only go so far. It takes more than a shaved head and a bicep to come off as someone who believes they're the pinnacle of mankind. Let's take a quick moment to bash the Wonder Woman casting, shall we? Wonder Woman has always been the only woman in comics capable of standing toe-to-toe with Superman and has been portrayed as a tall, massive Amazonian female that still retains a perfect 10 level of feminine beauty. I have always found the character to be a socially positive portrayal of a female role model, which is rare in comics, outfit notwithstanding. The movie had a great opportunity to cast a larger, more athletically built woman portrayed as strong, beautiful, and independent, and every bit the equal to the strongest man in the universe. Instead, they cast a former model that maybe weighs 130 pounds if she's holding two 60-pound buckets of water. Why not cast someone like Gina Carrera, who is beautiful, but beautiful like a Mack truck? Show young girls that strength and beauty can be achieved without having a gap between your thighs. Okay, but back off the soapbox. Alright, let's go talk some more nerdy shit. I've ranted forever about this super flick and still haven't talked about the rumor that Dwayne Johnson is going to play the Green Lantern John Stewart. Let's do a couple things straight. First, I'm like you. I'd rather see Hal Jordan's Green Lantern in this movie, but unfortunately Ryan Reynolds already wiped his butt with that character, and no one wants to be in a league with you if you're covered in poop. So moving to Stewart was probably the right idea and a very rare positive decision for this movie. Next, let me say fuck it, I'm gonna call him The Rock. I love The Rock. He's funny, he's charming, he's talented, and while I'm not gay, he sometimes makes me wonder. Alright, I know The Rock is the wrong race, and he's the wrong build, and I just criticized another casting choice because he didn't physically match what I thought he was going to be. In fact, I did it twice. But for some reason, I like this. Probably because everyone likes The Rock, and we really need some casting to occur in this movie that people can actually get behind. If this happens, it's a huge win for the film. Lastly, news broke this week that someone in our country's legal system found out that Superman vs. Batman writer David Goyer was a monster that wrote and directed Blade Trinity, and now Mr. Goyer is facing charges of crime against humanity. That means that rewrites for God, I'm just going to go ahead and call this movie Justice League because Warner Brothers, I'm sorry, you're not fooling anyone by calling this Man of Steel 2 or Superman vs. Batman or Man of Steel Revelations or whatever. This is a Justice League movie. Okay, alright, rewrites for this train wreck have fallen to Chris Terrio, we're going to call him Chris T for this, writer of Argo. This is both awesome news and horribly terrifying, awful, bad concerning news. I may not know much about the movie making process, but I am able to make uneducated and wild assumptions, so here it goes. The idea that you can completely cast a movie before you have a script, i.e. idea of what characters are going to be in the movie and, well, how they're going to be characterized, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What if Chris T wants to make a movie without the Green Lantern in it? Are you going to bloat his otherwise tight narrative just so The Rock can swing by holding a green glow stick and say hi for one scene? What if Chris T has a completely different idea of how to characterize Lex Luthor than Goyer did? Are you really going to force him to jam a square peg in a dodecahedral hole? Treating this script like it's an afterthought is one of the reasons that I have no faith this movie will end up being any better than a remix of Superman Returns and the first Green Lantern movie. Breaking news, movies are more than just glamour shots of characters from already existing mediums. Movies are narratives, and all this does is scream to me the studio thinks they can put butts in seats by just filling their movie with heroes, regardless of whether or not those heroes are doing anything interesting, compelling, or engaging with their screen time. All I know is I'm going to see it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be a witness of them killing this potentially monster franchise. That is, if this movie ever even happens. Right now, it's such a train wreck, I would not be surprised if all of a sudden this movie just faded away like their first attempt to make a Justice League movie. You know, the one where the blonde guy from Social Network, call back Social Network again, was going to be Batman? Yeah, that one. Well, that's all I really have to say, and holy shit, it was nerdy. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel, share this video, tell your friends. That's how we get bigger. That's how we get better. That's how you get more awesome content. Subscribe to this channel and follow me on Twitter. Also, follow the rest of the Game Jam family and subscribe to their channels too. They're jerks, but they make some cool videos sometimes and funny tweets and stuff. Sometimes.